Everyone knows the image, the wild hair, the playful smile, the famous formula E equals mc squared. But behind the legend of Albert Einstein lies a story most people never hear. A genius watched by the FBI, a refugee hunted by a regime, a man who helped start the age of nuclear weapons and then regretted it for the rest of his life. This is the untold story of Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein was born in 1879 in Ulm, Germany. As a child, he was curious, introverted, and slow to speak. Some teachers thought he was lazy, but inside his mind never stopped asking questions. He was fascinated by light, time, and the invisible rules of the universe. At 16, he imagined what it would be like to ride on a beam of light. That thought experiment would later change science forever. Einstein struggled with school systems that valued obedience over imagination. He skipped classes, clashed with authority, and nearly failed to get a formal academic position. The man who would rewrite physics almost didn't fit into it. In 1905, while working as a clerk at a patent office in Switzerland, Einstein published a series of papers that shook the foundations of physics in that single year, later called his Annus Mirabilis, or Miracle Year. He explained the photoelectric effect, proved the existence of atoms, and introduced special relativity. From these ideas emerged one of the most famous equations in history: E equals mec, squared energy and mass. Two faces of the same reality. Einstein was no longer just a patent clerk. He had become the voice of a new era in science. As Einstein's fame grew, so did the darkness in his homeland. In the 1930s, the Nazi Party rose to power in Germany. Einstein, a Jewish scientist and outspoken critic of fascism, quickly became a target of hate. Nazi newspapers attacked him. His theories were labeled Jewish physics. Posters called him an enemy of the nation. In 1933, while traveling abroad, Einstein made a decision that would change his life forever. He never returned to Germany. He renounced his German citizenship and moved to the United States as a refugee. His house in Germany was raided. His name appeared on Nazi hit lists. Albert Einstein, one of the greatest minds in history, was now a man without a country. From his new home in America, Einstein watched with alarm as Nazi Germany advanced across Europe. In 1939, physicists discovered that splitting the atom could release unimaginable amounts of energy. Some scientists feared that Hitler's regime might build a new kind of weapon. Einstein, together with physicist Leo Szilard, signed a letter to U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt. They warned him that Germany might be developing atomic bombs and urged the United States to start its own research. This letter helped spark what would become the Manhattan Project, the program that eventually produced the first nuclear weapons. Einstein himself did not work on the bomb, and he later said, "Had I known that the Germans would not succeed in producing an atomic bomb, I would have never lifted a finger." For the rest of his life, he carried the moral weight of that letter. Ironically, while Einstein had fled a dictatorship, he soon found himself under suspicion in his new homeland. Because of his outspoken views, his support for civil rights, his criticism of racism and militarism, and his contact with left-wing activists. The FBI opened a file on him. Over the years, that file grew to more than 1,400 pages. Agents monitored his mail, recorded his speeches, and tracked his political associations. Some even proposed denying him citizenship, claiming he might be a security risk or a secret communist agent. The same man whose theories helped build the modern world was quietly labeled dangerous by the very government he had helped warn of Nazi aggression. Einstein once said, "Unthinking respect for authority is the greatest enemy of truth." The FBI might have agreed, for all the wrong reasons. Behind the iconic image of the gentle genius was a complex, imperfect human being. He had a secret daughter, born before marriage, whose fate remains unclear. His relationships were troubled. He could be distant, absorbed in his work, and at times harsh in his letters. Yet he never stopped speaking out. For peace, justice, and human rights, he opposed nuclear weapons, warned of the dangers of blind nationalism, and called for global cooperation. Albert Einstein died in 1955. His brain was secretly removed for study, as if the world could not bear to let his mind go. Today we remember Einstein as the symbol of genius, but his real legacy is not just a formula or a photograph with his tongue out. It is the story of a refugee who challenged power, a scientist who feared the consequences of his own discoveries, and a man who believed that our humanity must grow as fast as our knowledge. This was the untold story of Albert Einstein, the genius under surveillance.